one of the most explosive periods of growth in the backup industry. Certainly we're experiencing that. And it comes from what we call the price functionality inflection point, which simply means that online backup is now the most awesome backup technology out there. And that's the technical word for it. And it's also the cheapest backup technology out there. So you've got a total data protection solution that'll do everything from backing up Facebook to a cell phone to a Mac laptop to a PC workstation to a file server to an Exchange server to a SQL server. We're going to do all of that for as little as $100 a month. I beg your pardon, $129 a month is our recommended retail price. One thing you'll learn about us is we don't dictate pricing to you. You can sell it for whatever you like. And we have partners who are enthusiastically going out and selling this for $400 or $500 a month to their customers. But you can purchase this technology from us for as little as $35 per month. So if you were going to sell it for $300 a month, and if you were purchasing it from us at $35 a month, you'd be very, very happy with that margin per server. I'm being promptly reminded by Shaylin, and we'll get to the pricing a little bit later. I just wanted to illustrate the margin potential here. All right, next slide. So this is kind of how we see the market unfolding over the next 18 months, with accelerating ramp of the business market in particular being driven by this technology listed on the left. So total business protection for all those different devices and nodes that I was just mentioning. A true continuity and disaster recovery solution instead of just being a piecemeal or point solution. Hardcore server application backup and recovery for your line of business mission critical apps, whether that's Exchange, SharePoint, SQL Server, or anything built on top of SQL Server. Centralized deployment, reporting, and control. This is critical. If you're going to have 1,000 customers out there running your backup technology, you're going to want to be able to control, manage that, report on that, see exception reports, see backups that didn't run, backups that maybe ran but had some trouble. Security. So SOS has led the market in terms of security, and that's becoming more and more important as businesses are adopting this technology. Good luck Carbonite getting significant adoption by Enterprise America. Mozy's security model is far better than Carbonite's, and SOS's security model is even one notch above Mozy's with our triple layer, 3 layers of encryption with our SOS UltraSafe technology. And at the end of the day, it's all about this last point here, collapsing the recovery time objective, so the amount of time I need to get my stuff back up and running, and recovery point objective being how far back in time I'm going to go when I recover, down under 30 minutes. And so that's the promise of what we're doing with SOS Service Safe. So let's take a minute there actually and answer some questions. I don't have any questions from any of you all, but I can see there's a 97% attention rate, which is about the highest I've ever seen on a webinar. So please ask me some questions. David's just asked me one. Please cover any infrastructure and tools and interfaces for sub-partners, since I have a dozen. So Derek, when you're demoing the WIP, make sure you look at the 2-tier distribution model that we support. So just at a high level, David, when you resell, you can either support your own direct customers or you can have resellers that even sit under you. So that's very much baked into the management infrastructure. Steve says, can you talk a little about virtualization backup? Sure, Steve. So one of the key sort of elements here is the ability to take bare metal images of servers and then virtualize them and run them in a local virtual infrastructure or in cloud virtual infrastructure. We'll be coming out with a product early next year called Cloud Boot, which will actually allow you to automatically boot servers, virtual servers in our cloud after you've been backing them up. For the moment, that's still a manual step. You'd actually have to mount a server from an image to then run it. Paul asked, what kind of branding is available and what's the cost? Paul, branding is just built into it, so we rebrand the technology for you, and it's just baked into the program. So you'll be selling this as Paul's Online Backup or whatever you'd like to. And let everybody, actually a major call to action I have for all of you is you can get a free mock-up done, so you can call our sales reps and have them get the art team to mock up some marketing collateral for you. And that's useful for a bunch of reasons. One, you can have a look at what your software might look like. Two, it actually gives you something to go and start pimping to your customers, if you'll excuse the vernacular. So you can actually get a head start on building your own sales pipeline right now. You can do it today, literally today, or perhaps tomorrow by the time that we deliver the mock-up to you. So I very much encourage you all to do that when you call in to register for the Kindle giveaway. Mark asks, what about companies giving backup away as a promotion, such as Norton's 360 product? Well, Mark, in the case of Norton 360, they're not really giving it away. They're actually baked it into their pricing model for the overall cost of the service. But you raise a really important point. Backup can be a terrific loss leader for you in your business to help you sell other services because backup is so incredibly sticky. And let me turn this back around on you and ask you this, Mark. What percentage of your customers pay you or use your services every single year? So what's your stickiness rate? What's your retention rate in your business? Is that something you know off the top of your head? While Mark's noodling on that, Mike asks, could you speak about bare metal restore capabilities of service providers? Mike, Derek's going to be demoing that in a moment. Paul says having the mock-up would be a great tool for sales. So David says he's very sticky. Okay, David. And I don't know what very sticky means in your world. But online backup is generally a service where you can expect 70, 80, even 90% retention rates for customers. So a lot of our partners will in fact use backup as a way to retain customers and actually make a lot of money by selling services in and around backup. You can absolutely make terrific margin selling backup itself. And you shouldn't be afraid of giving away a few gigabytes to get customers using your service. I think that's just smart marketing. David says his clients stay for years. That's terrific, David. So perhaps my comments don't directly apply to your business. I think they would apply to the vast majority of the people on the line. But even in your business, you'll have no problem making money selling backup. The other thing I'll say about Norton 360 is it's a very, very low-grade product, right? It's based on the old swap drive technology, which Norton acquired 4 or 5 years ago. It's very much low-end consumer-grade stuff. If you did a comparative matrix of SOS and Mosley and Carbonite and backplates and any of the major vendors, even in the home user market, Norton 360 doesn't fare particularly well. I'd refer you to the review of Norton's backup product that was done by PC Magazine a couple of weeks ago, and the PC Magazine Editor's Choice Award that we won from PC Mag Monday of this week, I should say. So don't believe me. Go and read that review of us, and then go and read the review of Norton 360, and take those reviews to your clients, right? Another David saying it's also very slow. All right, so we went down the rabbit hole there a little bit. Let's pull back up. So turning to the ServerSafe product. Jose is saying that there may be trouble with the audio again. Anybody out there? Okay, cool. Excellent. Seems like most people are fine. I've sort of already spoken to this conceptually, and I should be using my slides more efficiently. Here's what we do, okay, as a company. So starting on the left-hand side of this clocks diagram, you've got some primarily blue-colored planks, which, again, blue denotes home and SOHO, or small office, home office customers. So on the left-hand side of this diagram is what you can sell and deliver to your consumerist SOHO customers. And this is all about protecting your digital life. So one of the great megatrends fueling adoption of public cloud backup is this digitization of everything in our lives. Where are your photos right now? Most of them are probably on Facebook or Flickr or in JPEGs and PNGs sitting on your hard disk drive. Where are your business records? They're all nearly completely stored on your desktop. So we talk about your cloud life being Facebook, Twitter, Gmail, which will be out of backup later this year. We can back up Facebook and Twitter in literally the next couple of weeks. Then onto your desk life, we back up everything you've got on your desktop, which is all of your personal records. And that's for PC and for Mac. And then down at 7 o'clock on the wheel, back up your mobile life. We're the only backup vendor who's actually backing up cell phone data and tablet devices, right? So as we sort of push into this new age of mobility and, again, the proliferation of mobile devices, which are intermittently connected, particularly vulnerable to destruction, and usually have some of the highest value data on them, SOS has already got a solution in place for those platforms. And then on the right-hand side of this diagram, we start to truck into business data. So on the left-hand side, the metaphor is all about your life, your lives, your cloud life, your desk life, your mobile life. On the right-hand side, we start to talk about different types of data. So at the bottom, 5 o'clock on the clock, we've got your file data. So this is your file service. It might be the SBS server in the corner. It might be an XP machine that you've mapped a network drive from. At 3 o'clock on the clock, we've got back up your application data. This is doing native, transactionally consistent, continuous bare metal images of all of your mission-critical line of business applications. That's a mouthful, but this here is actually one of the biggest differentiators of the SOS technology stack. There's no other online backup company who can back up all of these things. And by the way, this is where you make fantastic margin. If you think about the type of data that sits at 3 o'clock on the clock, this is data that businesses will spend tens of thousands of dollars a year on to protect. This is the data that defines those businesses. This is the data that without which those businesses cannot operate. And then at 1 o'clock on the clock, we've got system state data. So we had some questions about bare metal earlier. We take bare metal images, we back up bare metal, we can do all the operating systems, program files, and configuration at system state, and not only do that locally, but get it all the way up to the cloud. So this is the SOS Total Protection Solution Stack, and again, I strongly encourage you to go to any other online backup vendor's website and see if they can do, half of this, because there just isn't another company that can do half of this. There are some companies who specialize at 3 o'clock or might specialize at 7 o'clock, but there's nobody who can do all of this. And then the second kicker is that we do this cheaper than anybody else in the market. So we've been told by very large investment houses and bankers that our cost of supplied goods is the lowest in the industry, and all of that transitions down to you all. So Paul says Intronus looks good, but not this good. Well, Paul, amen. And Intronus is pretty good at 3 o'clock on the clock, but is rubbish at 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 11 o'clock. Furthermore, Intronus costs you about 3 or 4 times as much as what SOS is going to cost you.